There's not one guy, one person in the history of this program that's bigger than the program.
What's better than this? Guys being dudes.
Ooh, what's up, and welcome into the first episode of the Program Guys Roundup, where the Program Guys talk college football around the country. We're going to be talking about the biggest games every single week and dropping this Mondays, Tuesdays, Sundays, most likely Mondays. Mark, tell us who's sponsoring the Program Guys Roundup.
I'd love to. The Program Roundup, as I've been calling it, but I guess we'll figure that piece of it out, is sponsored by the Fan Stop. You guys know them. You love them. They've sponsored us before. We love working with these guys. The Fan Stop brings you college shirts every single month to your door, shipped directly, officially licensed. Go check their website out, thefanstop.com. My mother is an avid Fan Stop supporter. She got a subscription last year when we worked with them, and she re-upped without even speaking with me about it. She's just a big fan of it. And let me tell you, they're cool shirts. They're things you're not going to see. You're not going to see it at Fanatics. You're not going to see it at Walmart. You're not going to see it anywhere that you can get to. So definitely go check out the website. We are thrilled to be working with them again. And like I said, man, they're sponsoring the Program Roundup. We love these guys.
Yeah, absolutely love them. Before we get started, too, please go ahead and like and subscribe. And secondly, we have a college football pick'em league. This is the last time you can join. This is the last week you can join our pick'em league. We have about 50 people in there right now trying to get those numbers up. Mark, let's get started, I guess. Right?
Let's get after it. You want to break down sort of what we're going to do this weekend?
Absolutely. So first, we're going to go through the big games that happened yesterday. And by big games, I mean just some games that happened yesterday. The two-ish. And then we're going to go through some conference winners, predictions of conference winners. And then we're going to pick our final four to make it to the playoffs this year as well. So that's how we'll wrap it up. All right. Well, let's kick it off first with USC against San Jose State. Man, when Caleb Williams dropped that snap, then just picks it back up and throws a 40, 50-yard touchdown pass.
It's like he's playing in slow motion. Nothing phases him the way that it phases other people. Everyone's playing around him, and he's just the sun in the middle of the universe on the field. I don't understand it. Things just work.
Yeah, I know. He went 18 for 25. 278 yards in the air, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions before the other quarterbacks started or got to play some. USC won that game 56-28. Alex Grinch still doesn't have a good defense.
Still trotting dudes out weighing like 230 pounds to play on the defensive line. It's all the same things that we saw. It's all the same things that we saw as Oklahoma fans and sort of made excuses for time after time, because there was still success there. I mean, they're going to have success too. That's the way the offense works. Is it's so good you overcome.
Yeah.
I want to point out Zachariah Branch had an incredible football game.
Yeah.
Dude has 9 touches throughout the entire game, right? They come on 1 carry for 12 yards. 4 catches for 58 yards and a touchdown. And this is the big one. 3 punt returns for 66 yards and a kickoff return for 96 and a touchdown. That kid's a freshman.
Absolutely freak. An absolute freak of an athlete. So fast.
Oh my
so
God.
Agile. I mean, he was like an NFL player around boys, and he's a freshman.
Immediately.
Yeah. Caleb is a lucky guy to have him on the team. That's for sure.
Well, and I was looking at their I guess skill position players before we started doing this, and it's names that we all know, right? Mario Williams only has 2 catches for 26 yards.
Right.
We loved Mario Williams. He was so good.
Yeah.
Rayleigh Brown goes 1 for 14. This is year 2 for him. Yeah. Brendan Rice 1 for 12. That's Jerry Rice's son. He was rocking it at the end of last year, but this kid has come in and really taken that position for the team, and I think it comes back to what you're saying. Alex Grinch will be the issue there, but the offense looks dangerous.
Definitely dangerous, as always with Caleb Williams. Second big game yesterday, Notre Dame against Navy. Notre Dame wins 42-3. Sam Hartman had a good outing, 19 for 23, 251 yards in the air, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Solid performance from the Wake Forest transfer.
I wasn't sold on Sam Hartman,
yeah?
and I shouldn't be sold based on this. Like,
that's true.
It's a game against an unranked Navy, but truly, and I mean this, when I saw his beard, I was in.
Right.
I'm in.
Sometimes it's all it takes.
He's a 24-year-old man with a full beard walking into a locker room full of kids. And sure, he's a transfer from Wake, and all these guys were Notre Dame OGs, but he's a grown-ass adult in the room. And that offensive line did a great job of not letting him get touched yesterday. So Notre Dame has a tough schedule, one of the hardest ones in college football, but that's introducing him to that mix is something that might really change the game and change the equation for Marcus Freeman.
Agreed. And I hope, with whatever happens this season, Marcus Freeman continues to get another year after another year, because I really like him. Last year, I was super envious of Notre Dame in general, being an Oklahoma fan, because they had a bad start to the season, but then they continuously got better. I think Marcus Freeman is a coach to continuously make Notre Dame better as well. But yeah, like you said, they've kind of got a weird schedule. They have Clemson, USC, and I believe Ohio. Yeah, Ohio State. But everyone else, isn't a good competition game for them. But those 3 games.
Well, but they're conference teams, right? Like Syracuse is on the schedule. They play like a weird sort of ACC schedule plus whatever they want to do.
Yeah. I don't see them. I don't see them being like big contenders in like the college football playoff scene this year.
I think that they're going to drop too many of those games against teams that matter. I mean, I'm looking at the schedule now. So they've got Tennessee State before at NC State, then Central Michigan comes to Notre Dame, then it's Ohio State at Notre Dame, then they go to Duke, then they go to Louisville, then USC comes to you, Pittsburgh comes to you, you go to Clemson, Wake comes to you, and you go to Stanford. That's a schedule.
Yeah, you're right.
That's a harder schedule than Oklahoma has.
Definitely.
I don't think that they'll get through the gauntlet, though. Not in a 14 playoff. No. How about that running back for Notre Dame?
Oh, yeah.
The gigantic one, 5'11", 227. Why doesn't Marcus Major look like that?
I don't know. I would like that. That's for sure.
I had one more thing on this one that I intended to bring up, but I love the triple option so much.
Always.
It is the most fun offense to watch, and I just wish like Georgia Tech was doing it for a minute there, but you could get like a real school that could recruit real athletes to run the triple option and see what happens. I'm sure they fail because you're just too squeezed in there, but
yeah,
man, I love seeing that offense run.
Yeah, it's so fun. It's a fun time. All right. Want to move on to some conference predictions?
Let's do it, baby.
All righty. Let's start with the ACC.
All right, who you got?
The winner of the ACC for me, I think, is Clemson.
Okay.
Florida State.
Why's that?
So it's between Florida State and Clemson, right? I just have the hope that Klubnik gets it together. Dabo is one of the best coaches in the country. And if those two things happen, they should win the ACC, in my opinion. I know Florida State's good. I get it. But Dabo is the guy who can win championships. And Florida State hasn't been good in a while.
Yeah. They started being pretty good last season. They were more highly ranked than Oklahoma was going into the Cheez-It Bowl, and they beat us in that Cheez-It Bowl. I think there's a lot of talent at Florida State that stuck around. Jared Verse would have been a top 15 pick in the NFL draft at the defensive end position and came back instead. And Jordan Travis and Johnny Wilson. And there's another receiver on that team, but I can't remember his name right now, are very good on offense. And Garrett Riley just got there and is working with a freshman quarterback at Clemson. So I'm gonna go the other way on this one, man, and give me Florida State. And
Yeah.
this can be one that we track throughout the year and kind of see how our picks are stacking up.
I like it. Do you think Florida State can beat LSU week 1? We're going to talk about it next week.
Can they? Yeah, because it's week 1. We haven't seen any of these guys play yet. I know what I'm getting from Jared Verse and Johnny Wilson. Jordan Travis, maybe he's talented, but LSU's going to have a defense.
Yeah.
Do we really know what we're getting from Jalen Daniels?
No.
Like, not necessarily. It's week 1. I think they could do it.
Yeah. Big 12 predictions. This one's tough for me, but I'm going to go with my ride or die Oklahoma.
I think I'm going to go with the Oklahoma Sooners.
Me too.
That's who I'm going to pick and not have to think about this any further.
Yeah. I look, Texas is hyped every year. They're hyped again this year. So until I see it, I'm not buying it.
That's the thing. I'm not convinced. So Texas has every resource. If Texas gets it right, Texas is going to be more successful than any school in the entire country in perpetuity. They have everything that you need. They haven't gotten it right since Mac Brown. And I'm not convinced that Steve Sarkisian is the coach to make it right there. So maybe Quinn Ewers is great. Maybe it all works on defense. Maybe all the skill position guys work. A.D. Mitchell coming in, A.G. Hall coming in, all of these guys. I still don't trust what you have at the top. So give me Oklahoma.
Yeah. And okay, look, let's just say Texas beats Alabama week 1. It's not going to happen.
Amazing.
But let's say it happens.
That's such a fun outcome.
Right. But Texas looked amazing against Alabama last year. And then they drop games randomly. So don't get your hopes up if Texas does beat Alabama, which they're not going to. They're just not.
No, I'm with you on that, actually.
Big Ten. Who you got in the Big Ten?
You go first. You
want me to go first? All right.
I got Michigan first.
I got Michigan. And my reasoning is a bit specific, and I'll go into it later when we do our CFP or like our Final Four predictions. But I've got Michigan to win this one.
Why do you have Michigan? Like, I know that you're going to go into it later, but is there anything against like one of these other teams, or like, do you think it's a weaker conference this year? Because when you look at it, it seems like another season of it's either Ohio State or Michigan, and Penn State's going to be piddling around behind them and end up ranked like 11th.
Yeah, I just think it's time for Harbaugh to finally dominate everything about the Big Ten.
So you got some real. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So two straight titles is not enough. Now it's going to be domination.
Right, because they haven't proved it in the college football playoffs. And I think it's just like that is a fire in that room, in that locker room, that's going to be released this year.
I feel that. I think give me Ohio State because I trust Jim Knowles on defense. I know that last year it wasn't quite what they expected in year 1, but I think that he's got more talent than he's ever had before, and this will be the year where he figures out how to use it. I don't know what they're doing at quarterback, but to be completely honest, you and I and the rest of the program guys could play quarterback for that team and throw the ball up to Marvin Harrison Jr. Like it's such a talented group, maybe the most talented in the country. Give me Ohio State on that one.
I like it. I mean, it's one of those two, right? I don't think Penn State sneaks in there. Do you think Penn State does?
When's the last time they actually did?
Right.
Like it's not shade. Penn State is always hard to play against, but when it comes to nut crunching time, when's the last time they actually won the Big Ten?
Right.
Did the thing.
Right. Exactly. SEC. Who do you got? Who's winning the SEC this year?
Everyone's going Bama. Like
really? You think everyone's going Bama?
You go like on College Game Day and it's all over. It's Bama. Like all of their picks yesterday were Bama. How quickly we forget. Give me Georgia. They're just top to bottom. They're so good. Give me Georgia.
They have an easier schedule. That's for sure. That's for dang sure. And that sucks. I wish they played someone better, like away this year.
When you're the champ, make them come to you.
Yeah. Look,
if Oklahoma was doing that, we would love it. We'd be like,
great.
yeah, no, come beat us in Norman then.
Right. Yeah. I do have
Who you got?
Alabama. I do have Alabama. I think it's a revenge tour for Nick Saban. I think he's sick of the Kirby Smart talk, sick of the Georgia talk, and he's going to dominate the SEC. His hardest games, Tennessee, is in Alabama. So,
you mean his hardest game, Texas, is in Alabama?
Sure. No, Tennessee.
Yeah, so that's the more fun one to root for, because I also think Nick Saban's going to be on a revenge tour. I can't get over bringing in 31-year-old Tommy Rees to be your offensive coordinator, and for whom is he the OC? I don't understand the quarterback position there. Jalen Milroe is an incredible athlete. We've seen that in spurts, but I don't know if I can't recall seeing him throw a football. So that's an issue. And maybe you switch the offense up a little bit, get a little more run heavy. That would be awesome, actually. That'd be a lot of fun. But I'm going to go with Georgia because of the issues at the quarterback and the OC positions for me.
I know you love defending Georgia. I know you do.
What is that?
I'm just kidding. All right, let's predict our Final Four.
All right. You want to go first? You want me to? Here, let's do this. We'll have two overlaps. So let's run through the overlaps first. So actually, I think we're gonna have three overlaps, to be honest with you, looking at this. But Ohio State's a team that you have that I also have. You don't have them winning the Big Ten. So you have them losing the Big Ten and then making it to the playoff, correct?
Correct. So what I think is going to happen is I think Ohio State goes undefeated until they play Michigan. And I think Michigan might drop one to Penn State or so. But then Michigan makes it to the Big Ten championship game and wins the Big Ten championship. Ohio State goes in with one loss. Michigan and Ohio State are both in the playoffs.
Are both in. They probably find a way to get them on opposite side of the bracket. Have some fun with it. Yeah,
right.
That makes sense. So another team that you have on your list that is also going to be on my list is Georgia. So are you predicting a similar thing with Georgia, where even though they lose the SEC for you, they go into it undefeated, or perhaps one loss and the rest of the field isn't that strong and still make it?
Yeah, or they do win the SEC's championship, and that's what happens with Alabama. Because Alabama is my fourth, and they don't. Maybe they don't win the SEC championship.
Well, and we missed one of them. So we've said Ohio State, Georgia, Alabama, and now Michigan.
Yeah,
and you said you had some good reasons for Michigan. Let's hear them.
No, like what I already mentioned, I think it's Harbaugh's time to really just dominate it all. I think he does lose a game and goes into that Ohio State that last week against Ohio State, and it's a must-win game for him. And I think he wins
he pulls
that.
It out.
Yeah.
Yep. That makes sense. It's a solid four. It's the same four that Kirk and Pat McAfee had.
I did not know that.
Game day.
Just for the
crazy.
record.
Well, and they all made theirs separately and then showed up together and had it. And so the whole time McAfee's saying it, Kirk's like,
I couldn't be more honored to be compared to those guys in this moment.
Hey, you're in that space for me, Patrick.
Right.
Truly.
Yeah.
So my four is going to be Georgia, my SEC champion, Ohio State, my Big Ten champion. I hate to Alabama. Let's just do Alabama.
Yeah.
You could sub this in for LSU if they end up becoming the team that really rises. Tennessee if they end up being the team that rises in the SEC. But basically, I think there's going to be another SEC team. And I think it'll be Alabama right now. And then my fourth.
You're gonna do it, aren't you? You're gonna do it. Go for it.
I think it's gonna be USC.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be USC. Did we talk about the Pac-12 on our list? I think we skipped.
Did we miss it? Well, there you
go.
I think
USC is gonna win it. Yeah, USC is gonna win it. And I think so that'll be my four, is in some way Georgia, Bama, Ohio State, and USC. And for the umpteenth time, I think a team helmed by Lincoln Riley is unable to perform in the playoff. And we probably get to some I think it's going to be like Ohio State, Georgia.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I looked at USC as well. And A, I just didn't want to pick them. B,
of course,
the Pac-12. I just think I think it's easy to figure out how to beat Lincoln Riley. You play very slow football and decent defense, and you try to hold Caleb Williams to 35 to 40 points. If you can do that, you can beat USC because Alex Grinch and his defense is just that bad. And I think you have great defenses in the Pac-12 too, with Washington, Oregon State, Oregon, I don't know, Utah. So I don't know. I think if the one or two teams figures out how to beat them,
it is really, when you run through that list of teams, it's really upsetting the way that we're losing the Pac-12, because even though Pac-12 football, Pac-12 after dark, all that stuff, that's a fun list of teams. That's a good list of teams. All of them are going to give each other trouble throughout the season.
Yeah.
Bo Nix has a freaking poster up in Dallas because they think he's going to win the Heisman.
Yeah.
That's
crazy. That is pretty crazy.
That is a poor use of cash.
But this is an up year. This is an up year for the Pac-12. There are
absolutely is.
Last year it should have just been USC, and it wasn't. So why would it be this year if everyone else is better?
Zachariah Brandt.
Yeah. I mean, that is a good answer. Lincoln's got to figure out that defense, though. That's the thing.
Man, the moment you start trotting actual defensive linemen out there to play defensive line, I bet it would get figured out pretty quickly. But the problem is they bring in the recruits that only fit this very weird specific thing, and suddenly you don't have any big bodies to go after people. And it's so fun to see the fan reaction, knowing we were there however long ago. And you and I were the guys that were like, don't boo, guys. Don't, why would you boo your own team?
Right.
And now they're kind of booing, and it's like,
Yeah. All right, final question before we get out of here. Who's the dark horse, or more like the fun team this year that no one's really looking at, talking about, or maybe some people are, but it's just going to be a fun team to follow this year?
Do you have one?
I do. I think I'm going to go with Kansas State. I think they could surprise the Big 12 and really make a run for it. And people are going to be like, oh, wow, I didn't really anticipate that. At least fans across the country.
So we just talked about it, but what if it is the year that Bo Nix goes crazy?
Yeah.
He had a better statistical season last year than Dylan Gabriel did across the board. He really started to put it together. What if things come together in a really special way in Eugene, Oregon, and that's the team that's sort of surprisingly in the mix, that, oh man, USC and Oregon in a Pac-12 championship, or Oregon and Utah, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
In a Pac-12 championship, and you just don't know what's going to happen because Oregon hasn't been in the playoffs since the first year.
Right.
That's uncharted territory for them. So maybe it's one of those actually pretty good Pac-12 teams.
Yeah, could be. All right. Well, I guess that does it for the first Program Roundup episode. Thank you so much for joining. Please like and subscribe to the program, guys. We're going to be dropping these every single week, along with our normal Oklahoma podcast, our normal Oklahoma post-game podcast. Thank you again to the Fan Stop for sponsoring us. We love you guys. Go grab your t-shirts at the link. They have amazing t-shirts. Every month is a different t-shirt.
Great quality.
Sign up for our Pick'em League. And that's it, Mark. Anything else?
That's it, baby.
All right, I'll take us out. Keep pushing it, baby.
3, 2, 1, go!
There's not one guy, one person in the history of this program that's bigger than the program.